Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Okay, besties, hold on to your wigs, because what went down in that Manhattan courtroom on May 5th? Absolute chaos. Sean Diddy Combs walked in like he owned the place, cool, calm, dressed to the nines, thinking he breezed through jury selection. Baby, he was not ready for what was coming, because Judge R.N. Subramanian, oh, he had jokes? This wasn't just your typical court day, no ma'am. The entire room was howling when the judge roasted Diddy's never-ending list of stage names. One reporter whispered it felt like open mic night. Even the jury forms got roasted compared to the size of Lord of the Rings. Dead serious.
I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace.
And Diddy? He just sat there, wire and glasses and all, looking like he wanted to evaporate. Every reporter in the room was scribbling down the punchlines, while Diddy caught strays like the main act of a roast battle. But that laughter? Yeah, it vanished real fast once the prosecution brought out the big guns. Before a single juror even swore in, Diddy was slapped with a brutal reality check. 5 federal felony charges. We're talking heavy hitters. 2 counts of moving people across state lines for illicit purposes, plus a conspiracy charge that could change everything. According to federal prosecutors, this wasn't some messy lifestyle, it was an operation. For years, Diddy allegedly used lavish gifts, luxury trips, and subtle pressure to lure young women into shady setups. He made it look like a party, but behind the curtains, a whole different show.
I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Prosecutors say the whole twisted circus was built to keep his image shiny, while shady dealings went on behind layers of assistants, dummy companies, and those infamous NDAs. Diddy, now 55, pled not guilty to everything. He insists everything was consensual. But if the jury sees it differently, he's staring down a life sentence. And let's talk assets. If he's convicted, not only could he lose freedom, but he might wave goodbye to his homes, luxury cars, and even his music royalties. Prosecutor Rachel Collins told the court, "We've got receipts, literal ones." She's bringing bank statements, private jet logs, and testimony that, according to her, shows control, not consent. Strategic, not spontaneous.
Last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Diddy's lawyer, Benjamin Brafman, came out swinging. According to him, this case is nothing but smoke and mirrors, twisting flashy living and grown-up relationships into a federal crime. In his words, this whole case is stitched together with rumors, haters, and exaggerated tea. But prosecutors say they've been grinding behind the scenes for a year, digging through sealed lawsuits, shady emails, and encrypted phone data. Oh, and they're not just talking about private jets. They're saying Diddy used yachts, tour buses, and any means necessary to fly women coast to coast.
So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial.
Some were lured with modeling gigs, others with music video roles. But once they arrived, prosecutors alleged they were locked into hotel suites in Miami, LA, and Vegas with bodyguards on standby and zero freedom to leave. They're calling it an exploitation enterprise. That label alone lets the feds pull in even more damning evidence. think beyond the original 5 charges. Court docs already mentioned 3 accusers by initials, but wait, 8 more witnesses are ready to speak. And guess what? Cassie Ventura, the singer who settled with Diddy last year, subpoenaed. She might be stepping back into the spotlight with rebuttal testimony. When Diddy's team begged the judge to delay the trial, denied. The feds gave them enough to work with, even if some files came in late. And to keep jurors safe from media madness, the judge ruled they'll be anonymous and partially sequestered. Oh, and he couldn't resist one last dig about Diddy's many names. Apparently, the aliases alone rival the jury forms in length.
He also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts.
Okay, let's talk about that jury form. Y'all, it's no joke. 120 questions deep, a full-on interrogation about social media habits and past exposure to celeb abuse cases. Why? Because this trial? It's a blockbuster, and finding 12 people who haven't been influenced by the headlines? Nearly impossible. Jury selection is going to take 4 days minimum. Diddy's not walking in through the main doors either. No, he slid in through a private tunnel like some kind of high-profile fugitive. Dressed in a navy wool suit and rimless glasses, serving courtroom chic. No orange jumpsuit here, bestie. He got permission to rotate 2 suits, 4 ties, and 1 pair of dress shoes. Just enough to serve rich man realness through 8 weeks of legal fire. But they're very much looming in the background. Prosecutors came armed, honey. Surveillance footage, Q2 encrypted chats, banking data, tracking hush money into shady third-party accounts. And that's just the appetizer.
And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
The feds say these payments weren't just casual hush-ups. They were part of a pattern. The receipts allegedly match up with the victims' timelines, building the conspiracy charge brick by brick. But Diddy's legal team, they're saying it's all business as usual in Hollywood. NDA settlements, standard payouts, nothing sketchy to see here. They're bringing in forensic accountants to prove the money trails squeaky clean. No missing millions, no hidden transfers. But let's be real, some legal analysts are whispering deja vu. This case is giving serious R. Kelly 2022 energy. And then there's the money grab. If convicted, the government wants it all. His Beverly Hills mansion? Gone. Long Island estate? Seized. Bad Boy Records masters? Targeted. Baby, they are not playing. This is a full-on empire tear. Diddy's already feeling the heat. He stepped away from managing his own businesses. That Ciroc deal? Done. Revolt Media? A temporary board is now running it. Sponsors? Dropping like flies. In a March hearing, prosecutor Rachel Collins came ready. 48 digital exhibits, 31 physical ones, 900-plus pages of financial drama. She said it plain. We'll need 4 weeks to tell this story. And then the defense gets 4 more if they bring out their own witnesses. Raffman, the legal bulldog, ain't backing down. He says the accusers are ex-insiders chasing clout and cash. Outside the courtroom, he dropped a bomb, a sealed text message from a main accuser thanking Diddy for changing her life and begging for help with her career. Prosecutors, they weren't having it. They said those messages just proved the manipulation, that financial control was the leash. And wait, there's audio. A 2019 recording of Diddy allegedly losing it on staff after a woman tried to escape one of his parties. Raffman says it's irrelevant. But the jury? Oh, they might just hear it.
They're going to try and say that Diddy's mental capacity could not make it possible for him to commit these crimes, claiming that maybe drugs or alcohol could have been at fault.
The stakes? Through the roof. A conviction on the top. Counts could land Diddy with 15 years minimum. And under RICO laws, they could stack the sentences and dismantle his fortune. This isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's a total takedown. The U.S. Attorney's Office said it loud. This is about justice for survivors. Meanwhile, Diddy barely spoke, just enough to confirm he understood the charges. Outside, it's a media circus. Protesters are already lining the sidewalks. Some want justice, some still bumping Bad Boy classics from boomboxes. But Judge Supermanian banned loudspeakers within 100 feet. Sorry fans, this ain't Coachella. And get this, Within 24 hours, the media mentions had already crossed 28,000. Networks are live streaming jury selection. Platforms are prepping recap specials. Y'all, it's not just a trial, it's a Netflix doc in the making. Diddy's brand is bleeding. His Spotify listeners dropped 12% in April. His fashion label, Sean John, just pulled a capsule collection. That's not a stumble, it's a spiral. Some experts say he could bounce back, like MJ did. Others say this might be the endgame. Labels aren't making any sudden moves until that verdict hits. But one thing's for sure, if Diddy walks, his comeback will be legendary. If not, we're talking legacy in flames.
Apparently, a couple of weeks ago, the prosecution offered Diddy a plea deal, which he turned down. We don't know the details of what that plea deal entailed, but he said he's not taking it. This is coming after they've added additional charges, like the second superseding indictment.
And baby, it's not just the feds playing hardball. Back in March, Diddy's homes in LA and Miami were raided. We're talking hard drives, security systems, everything seized. His lawyers say it was overkill and are begging the judge to toss the evidence. But prosecutors say those digital files, they tell the real story. Flight plans, guest lists, facial recognition data proving who flew where and when. And now the IRS is in the mix. They've launched a full-blown audit over shady income from those infamous freak-off parties. No tax charges yet, but a memo hints at unreported cash that could spark a whole new case. Whew. Still, Diddy's PR team is clawing back. They are pushing his philanthropy to donations to HBCUs, hurricane relief, trying to show the man behind the headlines. But the prosecutors are not backing down. They say the alleged conspiracy went on until January 2024, which means the statute of limitations reset. The case is fresh and it's fair game. Judge Subramanian made it cry slow. The jury will hear about civil settlements, but no dollar amounts. Forget the phrase hush money, it's privately negotiated agreements now. The court is keeping things tight and tidy. If convicted, Diddy faces another phase just for asset forfeiture, and appeals head straight to the Second Circuit, the same court that crushed R. Kelly.
You know that Cassie video where you see Diddy dragging her in a hotel from 2016? The judge says that it can be included after Diddy's defense team had been trying to have it not included.
And boom, just when you thought this trial couldn't get any wilder, here comes the evidence dump. Screenshots of encrypted messages, rideshare receipts, hotel key logs. Yup, prosecutors are laying it all out. They're drawing a straight line from Diddy's texts to the exact location of the alleged incidents. But Brafman's not having it. He swears the texts are just casual back and forths. Consensual scheduling, not coordination of crimes. And those ride receipts? Cherry-picked, he claims. Convenient pieces of a story that prosecutors want the jury to believe. The tension in that courtroom? Thick. Now, here's where it hits the fan. The government wants to bring in a clinical psychologist to talk about trauma bonding, how victims can remain attached to their abusers. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense wants to hit back with a music industry consultant to explain NDA culture, because in Hollywood, hush agreements are as common as iced lattes. Judge Subramanian hasn't ruled yet, but everyone knows those experts could swing the jury either way. But wait, it gets crazier. Hotel logs from top-tier properties in Miami, Vegas, and LA were subpoenaed. The court partially unsealed them, and they reportedly show room key access by Diddy and 3 accusers on nights matching the indictment. Legal experts are saying if that data checks out, it's devastating. And then, boom, 2 bodyguards flip. Immunity deals in hand. One's ready to talk about Diddy's Red Code protocol, where partygoers' phones were snatched on arrival. The other says he hand-delivered envelopes full of cash to mystery drop spots. Sounds like a movie, right? Of course, the defense fired back. Brafman says they're bitter ex-employees trying to save themselves from gun charges. And according to him, payroll records will show they were actually fired for stealing. But Judge Subramanian threw up a warning flag. No cheap shots without solid evidence. This trial is not going to be a clown show of dirty character hits. Inside, it's intense. Outside, protesters waving signs for survivor justice. And then the stands. A small group of fans blasting bad boy anthems on old school boomboxes like it's 2004. The split between cancel culture and fan devotion, wild. And get this, $7,600,000, 0 cents, was wired from Bad Boy Touring to an offshore account in Nevis. From there, it helped buy a lavish Hollywood Hills mansion. That property? Square in the crosshairs for seizure.
So according to People magazine, they said prosecutors recently filed a motion disputing any testimony that might show that Sean Diddy Combs didn't have, quote, the mental capacity to commit the crimes he's accused of because of the effects of drugs or alcohol. The motion filed on April 27th references apparent testimony from a psychiatrist on behalf of the defense and asked the judge to prevent his testimony during Combs.
But Rothman came out swinging again. He called the whole report speculative math, accusing prosecutors of reading too much into basic business expenses. He says short-term consultants are totally normal in the industry and that Nevis account fully disclosed in IRS filings. Nothing shady here, folks. He even accused the feds of trying to turn spreadsheets into smoke bombs. Judge Subramanian wasn't wasting time. He gave both sides strict deadlines to turn their expert chaos into neat, clean summary charts for the jury. No fluff, no distractions, just receipts. And don't think the fallout is slowing down.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes. As his lawyers argue, the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
On Tuesday, Sean John officially iced their upcoming collab, and Spotify, they slapped a warning banner on Diddy's entire catalog. You click a song and boom, you're hit with a link to ongoing news coverage. His Bad Boy label? Radio silent. No press releases, no damage control. Music analysts are holding their breath. If Spotify starts pushing his songs lower in algorithm rankings, he could lose millions. Some say he could bounce back like R. Kelly did, whose streaming numbers dipped hard, then crept back. But with the IRS now deep into this, we're talking real consequences. They've already told the court they might file a restitution claim if Diddy gets convicted. That audit into freak-off party income is still chugging along. No new tax charges yet. But prosecutors say they might update the indictment any day. And just when we thought the courtroom was done for the week, Judge Subramanian threw down another ruling. Any new civil settlements must be sealed. No witness intimidation allowed, period. And then the prosecution goes for the jugular again. They bring out forensic accountant Olivia Grant again, and she drops a mini nuclear bomb. Over $30 million 0 cents in checks marked consulting and event advance sent to names that weren't even listed in contracts. And another $7,600,000 0 cents directly from Bad Boy touring to an offshore account in Nevis. That money allegedly used to buy a Hollywood Hills mansion that the feds are now eyeing like vultures. Rothman's rebuttal? He's calling it bad math again. Says entertainment industry payments can be erratic, especially for consultants, that the Nevis account was reported to the IRS. But Judge Subramanian is done with the speculation. He's ordering both sides to tighten up. No messy spreadsheets. Just give the jury clean evidence, period. And it doesn't stop there. Two of the accusers are set to testify under pseudonyms. One will say she was recorded without consent, then told to keep her mouth shut or her career would be over. Another, she's expected to reveal how she was flown out for modeling work, only to be coerced into other things. The defense has emails showing them praising Diddy, asking for favors. But the prosecution, already ready. That's not gratitude, it's control. One thing's for sure, we'll be watching every second.